Good morning. I am Charlene of the Rainbow Frequency. I now have my two screens synced up. We are in the background, if you can hear it, listening to Temple Sounds Radio. I really love Temple Sounds. Really great sound healing artists. They're on YouTube, amongst other places. So look them up. That's my little shout out. And I'm waving to everyone. I'm not going to lean forward and wave. So yeah, here I am live and happy to pull cards for individuals. I will do a card reading in just a bit for where we are in the current energies. We're gearing up for the full moon in Leo. In the last reading, we pulled the button with what could have been conceived as two tigers. I like to think of it, now that I've moved forward and reflecting back, as the water tiger of the Lunar New Year and this current full moon in Leo coming in, both energies teaming up together. That's a powerful Thundercats roar kind of let's do this energy. I will say, from talking to different people around the world, it has been quite the ebb and flow of feeling lighter, then feeling heavier. It's been a lot to work with, for better or for worse. It can have been great energy to start new endeavors with. I've known a lot of people buying new homes, but it's just, no matter when it is, no matter what's going on, change is always something to get used to. So anywho, this is where, if anyone wants to chime in, I'm happy to have some food for thought. Like, let's chew on subjects together. I find that conversation organically flowing is where the most and best answers for me personally come through. But it's hard to make that happen in these lives. Well, I guess I can't make anything happen, right? I can't make anything happen. I've tried to learn that one at 44. I used to be a crazy planner, and the best laid plans, man, come awry or come undone, because you really can't humanly plan for every single variable, can you? You can't. I mean, if the last few years haven't shown us that, we haven't been paying attention. So you just go with the flow. You make the best of it as you can. You have to feel your feelings. You can't just, it is what it is, and numb yourself to it. Because honestly, been there, it's not going to help. Feel your feelings. If you need to get physical, like I have found some of the best ways to get out some of my frustration, anger, rage, hostility. I've got it all in here sometimes, at other times more than others. And getting a big piece of wood, like a big 2x4, maybe that's what you call it, 4x4, I don't know, get big. Nails. And for me, the mallet was most satisfying. I really enjoyed nailing those nails. Pinatas, whacking a pinata, other than the cleanup, because that part kind of makes it not so much fun for me. But the thought of smacking a pinata until a billion red hots come flying out, ooh, if that doesn't help release some of that tension, I don't know. I have kind of switched to, instead of the red hots, because I don't want to have to clean that up, birdseed, flower seeds. If you have a plot of land that you could plant wildflowers, that would be lovely. What other ways? Exercise. I mean, this is a tried and true means of keeping yourself in balance on many, many, many levels. And there are many ways to exercise. Walking, walk hard. You know, I personally, when I was going through my divorce of my previous marriage, that didn't articulate well, but whatever. I tried running. And anyone that knows me, like, I am not a runner. I am knock-kneed, pigeon-toed, bow-legged. I don't know how one person can be all of that, but I am. And I learned in that progression that I hate running. I don't like it. And first of all, like, with all that going on down low, you have to full-on run, sprint, in order to make it all work. And no. But I learned in that time that I was a nature gazer, and that being in the thick of the woods was my happy place. Like, take away all the paved paths. Don't want those. I want to be as alone as possible in the woods as one can get in the trails of Virginia with all the other people doing the same thing. But, you know, that's how I unwind. That's, you know, I've taken my son in hard times where he's had rage and he needs to get it out. And we found an already fallen tree, and I let him curse. He was about 4.5, and I was really surprised at how well he cursed. Like, I suppose I taught him very well. I don't let him curse even now at 13, but here and there, I allow him to let it out when needed. And he kicked the shit out of the tree and said WTF really well. And I felt like that was a really good moment for us. And I was like, anytime you need to do this, just let me know. Please don't punch walls, anything like that. I've known people in my life, myself, I've even punched a wall, I'll admit. It wasn't very pleasant. It wasn't as good as some of the others I've articulated previously. But, you know, kicking an already fallen tree that's decaying, it's soft. You're not going to break your foot in the midst of the woods. I'm just saying, balance that practicality and spirituality and emotional outlet. You know, think it through. Four of Swords energy. On that note, since we're not getting anybody chiming in for conversation, let's go to the cards, because I don't have an entire day to sit here, do I? Let's see what the full moon in Leo, what the Moonology cards have to say. And I do have a Matilda in my lap, so we're living wild. See what happens. You can't make a video unless you have a studio at your disposal and not have any variables pop in. All right, step out of your comfort zone. North Node. Both screens. Full up for YouTube. Full up for Instagram. Okay, so North Node and your South Nodes. In your birth chart, star chart, astrology, your South Node, in one way of interpreting it, I can speak English, is where you've come from, and then your North Node is where you're headed in this lifetime. And some people will say that you leave the South Node behind to move towards the North Node. Others will say that you marry the two. I personally and more of the marrying the two together school of thought. So that would be stepping out of your comfort zone because you're moving forward to the unknown. Like for example, in my chart, my South Node is in Aries, which is very comfortable as a Capricorn because they're both horned beasts that like moving up mountains aggressively at times, perhaps a little bit solo style. And then the Libra, my North Node, is about balance and love. And it is quite the challenge to balance those, to soften, to be able to have those loving boundaries without goring somebody, right? So step out of your comfort zone. Stepping out of your comfort zone, I'm not talking about doing stuff that makes you fearful, that isn't a good idea in the first place. No, this is stepping out of your comfort zone and doing the things that make you apprehensive, because it takes that courage to be vulnerable and authentically showing what's in your heart. Do that. This is what this is about. Like in the Strength card in Tarot, the point of that card isn't about, now that you have this lion at your disposal, or tiger, whatever beast you like, that you can just rip someone's head off and that's the inner strength. No, it's that marriage of the heart, the pride, and yet being loving and humble in the deliverance. I think of Aslan and Narnia. That to me is a beautiful representation of strength, of how to be in that embodiment of power and love and hold it together. There are times when Aslan roars and everyone's like, whoa, but that isn't where they lead from. They have it if they need it. Oops, I'm all a mess. Bear with me. Now we're going to go to the Goddess Wisdom Oracle cards. I don't have the box for this one. The threefold flame. What is that? That is a concept of marrying spiritual power, divine wisdom, and unconditional love. And unconditional love isn't just an external affair. It's an internal as much as an external activity. All right, we got the Valkyrie. The bird goddess is one of the most ancient goddesses, both alive, both alive giving creator, I'd like to say life-giving creator, and goddess of death and regeneration. The Valkyrie, a Northern European goddess, is a representation of this goddess as a death wielder. The bird guise of the Valkyrie is that of the raven. Long associated with death and magic, the name Valkyrie means chooser of the slain. The face and form of the Valkyrie are the last thing a person sees before death. Valkyries are psychopomps, shamans, that's another word for shaman, who lead the soul to the afterworld. For ancient people, death was a part of a cyclical process leading again to rebirth. Black was a positive color, a symbol of fertility and abundance. The Valkyrie represents that part of us that is unafraid of dark places. She can lead us into and through them. The void is another thought of that. She reminds us that the seeds germinate in the darkness, that sometimes we need darkness in order to grow. Give you guys your close up. I love a raven, and I've had one recently that likes to come visit. I have a barren top of an oak tree that the birds like to sun themselves on. And I mean, as a shaman myself, I have helped my father transition. I hope to help other people transition in the future. And that literal from the corporal to the non-corporal. But as a shaman, as you guide people through the death of selves, which could be in one concept, letting go a part of yourself, letting go of a mindset, letting go of an old skin, of an old behavior, an old chapter of life, you know, like leaving one job and going to another is in essence a version of a death of self. Even leaving a car and buying a new car, that's its own thing to grieve if you were at all attached to the car, for an example. Relationships ending, you know, there's all sorts of ways that we go through death and rebirth all the time. I mean, cells within our bodies die and are regenerated all the damn time. See, I can't not curse. So it's not to be feared. I've always been a fan of skulls and wearing black, and people would be so perplexed by me and like, what is your obsession with death? And I'm like, it's beautiful. You know, like I have bones that I collect. I have taxidermy. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid here. I honor life and the cycles and the process and the beauty. And personally, as a kid, when I realized that we all had the same skeleton to a certain degree, you know, mine's definitely a little bit lumpy and crooked compared to others, that we all had the same skull beneath our skin, that we all looked the same truly underneath this exterior was, I thought, very beautiful and unifying. And what I wouldn't give for a bird headdress. I mean, yes, sign me up. All right, let's go to the essential oil oracle. See what we need assistance-wise from the plant world. I really love the concept, the web of life. And to me, it is so beautifully illustrated in the fact that in the plant world, and not even just the plant world, but the plant world is all interconnected. They send each other communication vibrationally for where water sources are and this and that. Plants with insects communicate, and if a plant is getting infested by a pest, it can communicate to the beneficial insect to come save it. Love, 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 love. Hey. This is funny. Okay, we got rose, which I just told my friend Paulina that I had a rose problem. Sorry for the glare. Give you guys the close-up. I just bought my 9th rose bush. I mean, it was lavender. It's my perfect favorite rose color. How could I not have purchased it? Thank you, Trader Joe's. And my friend was like, how can you have too many roses? I mean, that is a perfect thing to have an addiction to, right? Yes, perfect friend. You can't have too many rocks, too many roses. No. Roses are beautiful energy. You can use the rose buds that aren't fully opened, that are fragrant, pink or red. Rose hips, the leaves themselves can be used. It's a beautiful plant that is a gentle, healing from the inside out energy. But do your own research, please, and thank you. So the key word for rose is compassion. Trigger statement, I am unlovable. True statement, I am love. Your heart is healing and expanding with love. Spend time showering yourself with that love and then share it with others. Yes, I love, see, this is why I read the cards. I babble and then I pull the cards and I'm like, holy shit, that's what I just said. Thank you, universe. It's an internal and an external affair. This loving reciprocity, that statement, you can't love others if you don't love yourself. It's true. It's true. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. And we get hurt. We put up our defenses. We think that having that loud roar is really what makes us stronger. Having our claws, whatever, however you want to put that into your personal modus operandi, whatever. We think that that's what's going to be what's needed. I mean, for those of you who are on my Instagram that have known me a long time, oh my goodness, when I was younger, I was a loving, kind person, I'd like to think, as well, but I also had some serious claws, some serious bite. I've said this before, but, I was known as Charmene. My husband loves that I have the nickname Charmene because I was hurt. I'd, come from a family life that was a bit tumultuous and hard to navigate. Luckily, I've always written, and it was as much as a very deeply personal activity as much as a coping mechanism and a way to connect to my higher consciousness, my guides, my guardians. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know when I was younger why I was reading tarot cards necessarily, other than I really liked it. I didn't know why I wrote all the time in my little marble composition book, but it helped guide me, soothe me from the inside out, and navigate the shitstorm of life. And there's so many things and ways to help yourself through. Rose tea, very gentle, soothing for the nerves. Please do your own research because you may have some medication or something for where roses might not be good for you. So again, do your own research. But let's see, I have some comments. Good morning. My mom used to call me Rosebud. That's lovely. I love that. Roses, I absolutely adore them. There are not many plants I don't adore, but there are some. But they just have that very, to me, like Mother Mary or maternal divine energy. The Ever Unfolding Rose is the card I have in front of me now. Oh, I love that. Yay, Christina R. I love that card too, by the way. There's the Sisterhood of the Rose. That is a beautiful energy too. Oh, I'm going to take a photo, so I have to remember to keep the cards out instead of putting them away. I will take a photo for Instagram later of these cards so you can see them. And thank you for joining me. I should have said this in the beginning, but thank you for joining me. I do this as a spiritual practice. So if you ever would like to meet with me for your own personal reading or energy services, I am available and have different ways of approaching me. You can either do it through messages via YouTube, Instagram. The rainbow frequency 77 at Gmail is my email address. I'm on Etsy, Shopify, and Square. Anywho, I'm out here in the wild, wild land. In person, if you're in the area, and I generally tend to stick to people I know or by proxy in person. Call me cautious. So anyway, Wild Woman. I love this card. I do. I love this card. And 62 adds up to 8, which is about abundance, infinity, nature is my church, is my cathedral, is my sacred space, is my healer. And we tend, as human beings, to vilify the animal sides of our nature. And there are some negative aspects to the animal sides of our nature, sure. But when in balance with our heart, it is, to me, an access point when we're creative, unafraid, unabashed to connect with that childlike play and let it flow out. You know, I know a lot of artists. I know that you know what I'm talking about. Whether it's music, any form of this, cooking, knitting, you know, it's just, you get into that flow and it lights you up in the most brilliant, dazzling sort of way. Like if you're a musician and you find the right people to play with and you can find that groove, it feels good. It's like that runner's high, you know, it's just creating when you let go of that fear of judgment and you just enjoy the process, enjoy the feeling of it. Nothing better, personally. But it's so hard. We get so caught up in our heads. You know, is this going to be liked? You know, is this good? I don't know. Can I even put this out there? Like, most of my life have not shared my writing because it was for me and I didn't really want it to be seen. I've written an entire fantasy novel and only one person or a couple people have read it. And, you know, it is hard to be vulnerable. I mean, even now I've been doing these readings online for 2 years. It took me a full year, I think, to even put my face in front of the camera. And in the beginning, the cards would shake. Oh my God, hi, I've been doing this since I was 15, but holy shit. You know, it's hard to put yourself up in front of people and expose yourself. And I don't mean literally like in a trench coat. No. But I've just been watching Are You Being Served? Sorry, that was in my mind. But see how this person has their chest open and out. The blue is a symbolic color of the divine, your throat chakra, speaking your truth, being authentic. I'm in my dim lighting as I am often, so it's hard to see all the colors, but there's red, there's gold, pink, orange, and then we have all these trees. So it's really, just connect to the natural world around you. For me personally, I need a lot of sunlight, being in nature, water. These things really help me to maintain my balance. Movement is really important. A lot of times, depending on where you're living and watching this from, I'm an American. In my culture, especially, we sit a lot. We're at our desks all day. A lot of us, not myself, but I mean, I learned at a young age, like, I am not meant to be contained. I need to move. This is way too much energy. Like, my husband will sometimes like, oh my God, you can't ever sit still. I'm like, I really can't. I am movement. I just am. But, I try really hard to realize when I'm overly anxious, and then I'll try to get myself to go on a walk to dissipate some of that. Just pay attention to how you're feeling, and then think to yourself, all right, if I'm really wild and amped, maybe don't reach for the caffeine. Maybe go spend some time and get some of that energy out in a positive way, but honor the rhythms, honor the feelings, honor the ebb and the flow. We're not, how do I want to say this? We tend to think that, I want to say maybe that we're static, that we don't really change, that we can back to that, like, we like to plan, we like to think we know what's going to happen next, and that everything, we made this decision, everything should stay just so. No, rarely is that going to happen in life. It's just, entropy is inescapable. The breakdown, the variables coming in, the change, it's always going to be there. That is an inescapable as at the moment taxes and things like that, right? So lean in to the moment and try to use yourself as your own guide. Okay, this is my newest pendulum, and we can, hold on. You could ask a pendulum, show me yes, and it spins around in a clockwise circle. Show me no, and it goes back and forth. So you could have a pendulum, and you could use this to help you as your guide. Pendulums, if you don't already work with them, what a trippy thing to get to know. You can, all right. And again, I'm not trying to move my hand. You can't all see my hand, but move around in a circle. I mean, yes, I can tell the pendulum what to do. So you have to be careful in these sort of instances to not make the pendulum give you the answer that you want to hear, because as weird as that sounds, I have known that I've made it move how I want it to move. So I have to make myself, okay, higher self, what is the best, highest good answer for me? And this is all to say, you can do it externally with an object. But you can also use your own body. And there are different ways that people have about going about using their body to give them answers. A lot of people with food sensitivities will utilize this to help them to know if they should eat something. But, you know, for me, I stand with my feet shoulder width apart, and for me, yes is moving forward, no is going back. And I can ask myself in that way. I can also just sit quietly and ask myself what I need, and I can hear the answer that way too. But I mean, that's taken quite a while of learning to listen to myself. So everyone, depending on where you are in the listening to yourself journey, there are many ways. You have a Untitled pendulum. Yeah, I love pendulums. You know, when I started studying Reiki, you learn to use the pendulum to read people's chakras. I can read where you are without it. I will still sometimes use it because, I mean, people love visuals. So them seeing something moving is cool. But I can go through the chakra line and read you in that way as much as I can read a card. And they teach you, and I'm going to pull one more shaman oracle card. They teach you in Reiki too to not become overly reliant on the pendulum, because you don't need it. It's just a tool. You know, the cards are a tool. A card reading is a shamanic journey in and of itself. It's just more interactive. And, you know, if a guided meditation is more of a passive, subconscious journey, a card reading is more of an interactive, conscious journey. We also got the corn card, number 10. We got the ravens up in, or well, crows, but crows and ravens are fairly connected in the symbolism world. But ravens tend to be more on their own, whereas crows go together in groups. This is the little bit of bird knowledge I've learned as I've tried to study birds ad nauseum. Corn is about abundance. 10 is about a completion of a cycle. And I like to think a lot of us in the last couple of years, not everyone, you know, it has been, again, depending on where you are in your life journey and where you live in the world, varying degrees of what you're experiencing. But this has been a time where, you know, if you're reading a story, you have to have those challenges, those hardships to build character, to build that inner abundance, that inner strength, that reserve, to become that champion, that hero, that heroine. It's about most quests that I've read. It isn't about going it solely alone against everything by yourself. No, most heroines wind up finding their community, their tribe. They find their friends and get by with the help of their friends. You know that song, I get by with a little help of my friends. They get to know who their true friends are and who they aren't. They get to know themselves deeply. It's been that quest for a lot of us, you know, the last couple of years for sure. But, you know, they say that these things are 20-year cycles. I think it's way longer than that when you connect it all together. It's just, you know, we have to get bigger perspective if we really think that we're even going to get close to seeing it all, which we're not. You know, like, it makes me laugh because in my own journey, literally, I can't see this without my glasses. Like, I've gotten so damn blind that I've run into walls before I realized that my prescription had changed. Like, I had noticed that I was able to see the birds, which I wasn't able to see previously. And as a bird watcher, like, I'd learned to like differentiate the birds by how they flapped and the color blocking of their colors, because you can see that without glasses from far away, right? But then slowly over time, all of a sudden I could see the birds damn clearly. Like, miles away, all of a sudden I could see there's a hawk in that tree. You know, I noticed that. It didn't really sink in that was a noticeable change. And then I started running into the walls. And probably like 4 or so times before, my husband was just like, okay, you're either going to get a helmet or you need to go to the eye doctor and see what the heck is going on. So I went to the eye doctor and they were like, your prescription totally changed, which, you know, 40, your eyes do flip a script and you need readers generally, but mine had gone from being nearsighted my whole life to being farsighted. So all that to say, it makes me laugh because as my intuitive abilities have grown, my eyes have gotten poorer, and it's almost like they're forcing me to lean into the other parts of myself to grow. The corn has ears. There's a whole point to this rambling. The way the corn gains its fruitfulness and its abundance is through that marriage of all the things. Corn is one of those plants that I know of that if it has an infestation, it can communicate and get the insect to help it come to its aid. It utilizes so many things around it in order to get the fruit to grow even. So just try to recognize for yourselves that it has been a journey. It has been quite a daunting set of circumstances and experiences, but it's building it up for you, within you, so that you can have that inner reserve to you. Okay. So those were our oracle cards to give us a sense of the energies around us supporting us. So now we'll do the Star Child Tarot to get our little map of where we are currently. Again, these things are timeless. So whenever it is you come to this, right now we're doing it live, but you know, they will be on my face. So, you know, we tend to come to what we need to when we need it. And that should be sort of way that we do, if you're paying attention. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the living and not see the signs and synchronicities and the ways that they're trying to reach you. But if you stop, look around, bottom of the deck is Ace of Swords, first card, 7 of Crystals, Ace of Cups, Page of Wands, King of Swords. All right. Bottom of the deck is our overarching theme. Ace of Swords. Wands are usually that new beginning. Hello, Cami. I'd like a reading. Okie dokie. Well, I'm in the midst of doing the card reading, so I'll pull you a card at the end. All right. So Ace of Swords, overarching theme, new beginning. It's that sense to me I love of, if you've seen like the Sword in the Stone, that Arthurian legend where you pull the sword off out of the stone and you're off to your quest, feeling excited, clear-headed, and ready for adventure. You know, you might not have a clear sense of how it's all going to unfold, right? It's the beginning of the adventure. But, and you can see, I'll give you guys the close-up. It almost looks like it's being pulled. Oh, that's cool. When I look at it from a distance, this almost looks like a person with antlers, and you're pulling this up out of the stone. Antlers can be symbolic of that spiritual connection, you know, like tree branches. It's that connectivity to source. But I was seeing initially this looking like that Arthurian sword in the stone being pulled. You being cracked open, almost like if seeds grow in the darkness, like we were speaking of earlier. It's being cracked open so that this new shoot can emerge. Love it. And you can almost see, like if this were the seed hull, this could be all the vibrant energy of plant life ready to burst forth. Love it. Love it. Love it. And they're such beautiful cards. All right. 7 of Crystals. You know, 5s can be that energy of hardship. 6 is that beginning to move forward. 7s, it's that build. You know, 8 really takes off, infinite abundance, that sort of, you know. So if you look at this card, Pentacles are the material plane. But yet, you know, we have the presence of this water. And if you think about it, when you look at the earth, it isn't, you can't really conceive of the earth without the water and the air all there as well. They're there. It's a part of it. It's an ecosystem. I mean, sure, the earth, one could literally just sink down to it being the land aspect. But even if you want to get nitty gritty on that, soil has many elements to it in and of itself. So all of that's to say, in this card, what I pick up is this is a time to really ground yourself, be in the flow, and be open to work with all the elements available to help support you in your movement forward. You know, if this is the seed cracking forth in the new beginning, this is you connecting to all the elements that surround. You know, if you're a new seedling, you need water, you need earth, you need sun, you need all these things to thrive and grow. So you don't compartmentalize and only drink water, you know. But again, we as human beings tend to overly compartmentalize, tend to think we're static, or like to fight to try to remain static, I guess one could say. And it's futile. 7s, think about things that come, I can talk, I really can. In life, we tend to have a lot of that survival mode mindset. We tend to vilify things we don't understand. We tend to overly react out of fear, perhaps, defensiveness to things that are unfamiliar, unknown, that we're unsure of. And you could try to have a more open mind to see what could be learned, what could be used, instead of automatically going to the no, you know, just for an example. I also get the sense, and some people have a negative, I'm sorry, I just rocked your world, YouTube. Some people have a negative concept of a shapeshifter. You know, in the spiritual world, there's a negative concept to that. You know, me being in my own meditations being told that I'm a shapeshifter, I don't think of it in that negative concept. I think of it more so as that starseed magician, Merlin, the ability to transmute, shift the vibration, work with as needed what's around me, to go with the flow. Like I know personally, like when I do a divination party where I meet with a group of friends and do card readings, each individual, I almost not really have a multiple personality, but like my personality, how I verbalize, how I connect with a person dramatically shifts person to person. I mean, when I was a hairstylist, I noticed it then too. I know how to engage as needed, shifting to meet the person where they are. This is that energy to me. Like, let's give you guys the close up Instagram. You see these different sacred geometry shapes. And then YouTube. It's hard to focus. But these are different mandalas, sacred geometry symbols that this person is working with as needed, depending on what they're working with in the material plane. You know, in life, there are times where you're going to have to be very material world in that engagement. There are times where you will need to sink in to the elements and be connected to nature. There are times when you need to connect spiritually to your higher consciousness for that inner knowing. You know, so this to me is that really, I get the image in my mind of like Vanna White with the wheel, but you got that whole wheel to work with, so stop limiting yourself. All right, so that's where we are currently. The obstacle, the challenge, which isn't much of a challenge if you really want to ask my opinion. Ace of Cups. We got another ace. Beautiful. This is that like holy grail, that which is on your heart to seek. That energy. So, you know, beautifully going from Arthur to the Holy Grail. The challenge is that it's new. New love of any sort can be scary. I mean, that's where it's funny. Like, things that you really want tend to scare the ever-loving shit out of you. Love, the job that you really, really want, the house you really, really want. Oh my God, what if it gets taken from me? Like you're newly pregnant. Oh my God, you know, all those things like that you really, really want. that's on your heart to seek. That is going out of your comfort zone. So we come back, step out of that comfort zone. North Node is going after what's really going to fulfill you in this lifetime. So I believe in reincarnation, but that doesn't go to say that you don't treat each lifetime as though if you have one life to live, let's make the best of it, the most out of it. All right. Then we got the advice from Spirit, Page of Wands, and reverse. Now, I don't necessarily always read reverse cards, but the Page of Wands. And I don't always read the books, but when I do, no, just kidding. Okay. From the Star Child Tarot's perspective, a lack of ambition, direction, plans, or ventures have yet to come to fruition, as a state of balance may be needed. This position may also have to do with unreliability or detachment from another, a need to face truths, fears, and acknowledge one's weaknesses, the purging of negative attachments. Okay, that is one connotation of this card in reverse. To me, what I pick up in reading this in reverse is use that wand to heal yourself. Light yourself up from within. Instead of always being so focused externally, first work on what you need to internally to then build it up externally. Let's go back. Because the Page of Wands upright, new events, opportunities are on the horizon. Make sure you move forward with clear intentions. Always remember to be confident in your abilities. The fruition of creativity and ideas, new adventures. Okay. Again, that is one connotation of reading this card. To me, okay, if the Knights are about forward movement and going off into action on the quest, the Pages are about dreaming it in. Now, when I look at reverse cards, to me, it's more of an internal action as opposed to an external action energy, or perceive it internally as opposed to externally. So this is focusing, if you are your own magician, to manifest what you want in the world, turn your wand and wield it on yourself, healing yourself, lighting your own fire, building yourself up, igniting those dreams. Like, use it as a paintbrush of your soul. Finger paint, play. What would you want to bring forth magically into the world? Again, back to Aslan. They come back to Narnia. It's all frozen. They breathe spring and new growth and vibrancy into the world. How would you do that for yourself? And then how would it ripple forth outward, butterfly effect out, paying it forward externally? Because then we end with the King of Swords, which is that Aquarian energy, right? It's where we're headed, the Aquarian age. It's that clear thought. It's humanitarian. It's rebellious, but in a rocking the boat free from the outdated and moving to the equilibrium and the state of being that's better suited for all, in that humanitarian sort of way. king in any suit is the reaching that completion to a certain degree. I mean, it's ongoing of a process, right? Like there is no end. But it's being at the top of that game mentally, clear thinking, moving forward. I really do think you have to marry all the suits together, all of your bodies, your mental body, your emotional body, your etheric body, all of your parts and pieces have to come together in order to be completely at the top of that game, so to speak. So you might have to get the rest of your parts once you got your mind together. Then you get the rest of your emotional state soothed. And I'm getting caught up in the communication internally. Hold on. Basically, this is saying, if we've come from a period of being on a quest, of moving forward on a journey, trials and tribulations, in order to come out of the darkness, out of that void, back into that harmony, you have to let it all come back into balance. There might be different aspects of you that you focus on, and then you can get it all back into alignment together. But where we are currently, new beginnings in the mental plane that lead us to the end of a completion of cycle of one sort. We're not ending all sorts of the cycles. Again, it's ongoing, it's endless. But in one arena of sorts, there's going to be a sense of completion if you allow yourself the opportunity to work with all that's around to help you, to feed and support you, to nourish that growth. You are unafraid. No, let me say that differently. You don't let the fear of the newness stop you from going forward in that pursuit of that love that's on your heart, whether it's romantic, career, whatever. There are many forms that love shows up. Then you have to spend that time dreaming it in, fostering that growth. The wands are that spiritual, that magician sort of energy, that passion. It's another aspect of the material world, so to speak, but it's, again, that creative, wild woman, wild man, spark of joy in your heart. You have to work on growing that just like you would a plant in a garden. And then it's beautiful. We'll wrap it up with this. You see the sword being drawn up from the ground, and then you see this individual with the sword. They're holding it, and it's also in the ground. But this is them being grounded in their truth and themselves. You see this column of light. This is them in alignment with their higher consciousness, spirit. And it's that being able to wield that sword, much like Arthur in the legend, if you're doing it from the right place and the right intentions, you're indestructible, you're inconquerable, you're divinely led, you're in your own power. Is one way to think of that mental prowess. It's not all mind games in the world. It isn't. There's just as much of an emotional spiritual, all the different parts and pieces that you're working with and marrying together. So that's the reading for the collective. So then, Cami, you'd like a reading. Okay, I will pull you a card. And then greetings to you as well. Sending positive energy to you, Anna Richards. So Cami, would you like a tarot card? Would you like an oracle card? If you're still there, let me know. Otherwise, I will sign off. Otherwise, I'll just pull you a card as I'm waiting. Let's see. A tarot. Okay. Let me. All right, we'll go to the Muse Tarot. Oh, and Brian. Okay, you want one. All right. Let me keep myself organized so that I can remember to take the photograph for Instagram. So the Muse Tarot, upside down, backwards, but you got to see it. Oh, this is exciting. I haven't had anybody communicating on these lives with me, but so much. So I love the interaction. I'm going to have to be quick. All right, so first, Cami. And I'm just going to pull one card for all of you. 10 of materials, Cami. Okay, so what I'm picking up for you is, okay, 10, it's the end of a cycle, it's completion. This is you really spend time in your sacred circle, in your meditation, however you want to articulate that. Spend time really seeing that this is coming for you. You're thriving, you're flourishing. Like if you were a tree, you're coming into fruit, you're coming into flower. The tins, I like to think a lot of times it's that building up that legacy of what you want to manifest in the world around you. So this is your card. This is your confirmation. So really use this as your visualization to dream it in. See how the ring of people are around what they want to manifest. Sit in this energy, and manifestation, one of the key points is to act as though it's already in your life. So hold on. You have the community around you also, so just breathe and be reassured that it's coming to completion. Again, it's an all ongoing process, right? One completion just leads to another adventure, right? All right, so then the next person, Brian Piccolo. 2 screens. Keep you all in order. All right, let me shuffle. Thank you. Clearing the energy. Tammy. What does Brian need to know? And again, I always, in my mind, whether I articulate it, what do you need to know that's in your highest good, that will delight you, mind, body, and spirit? I say it a lot on my channel if you're on Instagram with me, but always in there. Oh, Brian. Okay, justice and awakening. So, some way, shape, or form, there's going to be justice coming to you. I mean, we've all, I mean, again, these can be personal or collective. Like, we've all been having to do that, going within, finding that inner truth that we hold in our hearts, and not get caught up in being like lemmings, and just because everyone else is doing something, I should do it too. Like, sometimes in life, you have to stand your ground and fight for something, and there might be losses that come from it, but ultimately justice is what, to me at least, should be sought in all things. But then again, like, in Egyptian mythology, I've always been a lover of Ma'at Kari, if I say that properly. And that is really that even yourself, sometimes you'll be divided in yourself, and you have to let go of a mindset of something that you once held on to become clear, or more clear in yourself even. You could have been holding on to a truth that you believed, and then through a process of self-discovery, you learn to let go of it. And then the awakening, coming out of darkness, the shadow, the dark night of the soul. If you don't know what that is, look that up. Coming out of that dark period, that void where you integrate, so that you can then go forward to where your heart and soul is more authentically aligned. So, this might have been an unraveling of sorts, but for great purpose. I hope you like that, Brian. Again, from a nature perspective, okay, like, this is coming through. I recently, in meditation, I was a hickory tree, and then I looked up what a hickory tree symbolized, and it's that stamina, that strength, that they have to have lived for a really long time before they bear their fruit. So it's that going through the process, we come here, I've said this many times over, we come here already as we are designed. We just have to remember who we are, what we are, and what we're working with, undo some of the programming to get back to our personal truth. Okay, so then Sarah Gold. I'll read you a card. Thank you so much for your comment after that. And I'm glad you liked it, Brian. Okay, Sarah Gold, Queen of Materials. This is a very good one to follow up with the reading, since it resonated so much for you. Lovely energy. This is a person who's building up their abundance for themselves, as themselves, and also the world that they're nurturing around them. Like, it's on the way to the Empress sort of vibe to me. Again, there's all those roses. It's that healing from the inside out, so that you can be that unconditional love. That benevolent queen. Spend time in water, I'm also getting from this blue, like, take baths. You could put some rose, either rose petals, rose oil, in there with you. Even, again, like I said, the leaves, like, because rose oil is expensive. Just putting some rose leaves, or if you have the rose buds. I love bathing with Epsom salt, crystals. Sometimes my plants I'll throw in, because again, in a lot of these cards, even though it's another element, they utilize the other elements to help counterbalance and support themselves. Very important. Okay, so hold on, I'm reading. Flight risk. I thank you for popping in. I look forward to chatting with you later. Manisha Sharma, does my PT exam will clear? Okay, you're asking me a specific question. Okay. Does my PT exam will clear the 5th of March? I don't exactly know what that means, but it doesn't really matter. I can be a conduit regardless. I'm going to draw you a card. The Magician. Oh, yay, Sarah Gold. Yes, use them. Rose tea, rose baths, even just the fact that you have them, you know, like for me personally, even just being near my plants, we exchange energy beautifully. Okay, so Manisha. What I'm getting from this, have a positive mindset. You are your own magician. You can manifest what you want. A lot of times we get caught up in worrying, not realizing that sometimes the worrying manifests for us in its own way. So be your own magician. Fill your own cup with positivity. Now, does your PTM exam will clear? Just because I want to ask it in the way that, yes, it will clear. But sit with yourself, you know, sit in that positivity, like feel it within yourself. I'm vibrating and tingling. I hope that you are vibrating and tingling, because that to me is also that like resonating way that spirit talks to me. Everyone's different, but look at this. I'll show Instagram in a second, but since this is a YouTube person, you know, sit with your crystals, meditate, pray, fill your own cup with positivity, connect to source, do yoga or whatever sort of movement, dancing, whatever it is, but like fill it, fill your cup, feel it, move with it. There's the, and everybody. All right. Hello, Casey. Come on, you know you want a card or something. What do you want, girl? Yay. This is so fun. I have been trying so hard to do these lives and have engagement and although I do have to go soon. But hello, S. Lewis 329. Jack Free, all of you, thank you very much for being here. Oh, thank you very much, Manisha, if I'm saying your name. I'm gonna go for Casey. Yeah, I love engaging with people. I love playing with people. It was really hard for me in the States when we went into lockdown. I just started a business. I was gonna not only do hair, but I had a room to read cards and do energy work. And all of a sudden I couldn't play with people in person anymore. I had to go to the virtual world, which was not at all what I thought would be how I would engage with people. But who am I? Like, I don't know how life's going to work, am I? You know, like, I literally, like, I had seriously planned it out to perfection. That was a bad symbol maybe for some people in the world. Sorry, didn't mean to offend anyone. But, you know, like, my son was getting ready to go into middle school. I had many conversations with his father that we could use his school district. You know, everything was locked and loaded. I moved my business to being down the street from where my ex-husband lived so that everything would be wrapped neatly together. All went to hell in a handbasket, unraveled completely. I'm now homeschooling. Nothing worked out the way that I had thought, but it was a beautiful, beautiful journey nonetheless, and I am very thankful for how I got there. Casey, my love, you got Kundalini. I love how much vibrant rainbow energy is in all these cards. It makes me happy. I might not wear a lot of color, but I'm living color. All right, Casey, Kundalini rising, you know what that is. It is a beautiful coming into balance, coming into power, thriving and flourishing, being lit up. I've been really thinking a lot lately, the caduceus, you know, in the medical symbol, the two snakes, that magician's wand. We have within us, you know, and we have our two lines of DNA from our parents, right? Those coming together in alignment, into balance. You know, say perhaps, and I'm not a genetic scientist. I'm a doctor, Jim. Anyway, I'm hilarious to myself. But, you know, when we come into being, you know, our genetic strand picks up what it wants to, what box it wants to check, you know, whether we're going to have blue eyes, brown eyes, curly hair, blah, blah, blah. So maybe in this awakening of consciousness, this expansion of self, this evolution of self that we're in, perhaps those two strands of DNA, those two snakes within us, the two dragons, our north node, south node, they're waking up and coming into alignment so that we're stronger and more fully within our bodies, in ourselves, remembering the parts and pieces, all that's within our magical pantry of selves. So this to me, Casey, and all of us, again, because this is collective, right? We are waking up, coming into alignment and expanding, remembering who and what we are and how we want to then use that paintbrush, that wand, to bring it from the external to the, or from the internal to the external. Oh, yay, that makes me happy. I have been missing you, Casey, but I've been letting you do this because I knew you were busy, busy, busy. So hip, hip, hooray. Yay. Okay. Going once, going twice. Before I sign off. Oh, wait, I wanted to read Casey the Kundalini card. And then this will be my leaving you, unless anyone wants to pop in for one last question. All right, Kundalini is rising. The serpent-like energy that exists in that base of your spine, that Muladhara chakra, has awoken. You may have noticed that you feel more spiritually aware than ever before. You're more sensitive to the energies quickly manifesting your thoughts. Your psychic abilities are rising, and you feel the flow of energy that vibrates in every being. Your heart is full of a deep compassion and desire to serve others, and you have a keen awareness of your purpose. This is a Kundalini rising. Stay grounded in this process. Connect to nature, exercise, journal, practice yoga. Through grounding, you'll be able to experience a beautiful and blissful Kundalini awakening that takes you exactly where you're meant to be. Kundalini, Kundalini. If you don't know what it is, look it up. And again, I love that it went through all the things that I previously had been babbling away about, exercise, be in nature, journal, writing is a coping mechanism as well. It's a way to connect to spirit. Do all the things. And again, this is an evolution. This is something that's new and challenging. So it's not always going to feel joyful. There's going to be moments of discomfort. I mean, yesterday I had a god-awful headache, and I will look, yes, the weather fluctuated, my hormones fluctuated, the Schumann resonance fluctuated, the solar flares, all the things. Like, we are in some wild times currently, and there are many, many different parts and players having effect and growing us with purpose. All right, flight risk. You'd like for me to pull you a card. Would you like a tarot card? Would you like a Buddha card? Or not Buddha. The yogic path. And then I will bid you adieu. Flight risk. What do you want? Tell me. And Instagram's so quiet over there. So yeah, YouTube for the win today. Not that I'm playing you against each other. And this is where I'm not so patient. I might just use my own intuition and jump, but I like to give people a chance to tell me what they want. I don't like being bossy as much as I love being right. I mean, all of us, we all love being right, don't we? It can get in such the way. I'm going to pull you a yogic path, and if you'd like something else, so be it. But flight risk, you feel very yogic to me. And I love, if you guys haven't checked out Flight Risk, their channel, they have wonderful, heartwarming content. All right. Flight Risk, you got Savadhaya. And I'll read this because I don't know these cards as well. All right. We are each born with a book of infinite wisdom, stories, inventions, and emotions. This book is our own consciousness. If we take the path to truly studying the self, we will never become bored with our findings. Instead of trying to acquire more information, take the focus inward. There are cosmoses in your consciousness you have yet to venture into that have more beauty than any artwork, more mystery than your favorite thriller, more magnificence than all earthly creations. However, the passport required to reach these vistas is stillness. Through withdrawing from the external stimulus, you can move into the true stimulus, the world inside and beyond you. Yes, but at the same time, I will stop and say, yes, it takes stillness to get there, but there's active meditation that can get you there as well. Meditation isn't only just sitting here. I mean, even that isn't being completely still, is it? Breath work is a way of being movement in the stillness, chanting. For me personally, as someone, like I've already said, I have a hard time truly being still. Chanting, breathing through the chants, the mantras really helps me be in that stillness. I also find my hands go through different positions as I'm sitting there. So, you know, is that really being completely still? No. So take yourself off the hook a little, the pressure. You don't have to be completely, utterly still. I mean, when I was younger, it took me a long time to even try to meditate because I had a friend tell me, because I had told her I wanted to possibly go with her to her Buddhist temple, and she told me I would have to sit there for 20 minutes and meditate. I was like, oh, hell no, there's no way. I can't sit somewhere quietly still for 20 minutes. You know, so there are many ways to get there. But I've said this in my other lives, but knowing yourself is half the battle, and it's really what you're working with. So you should know what's in that pantry, right? Anyway, best wishes, all the love, be well holistically, inside and out. I very much appreciate you. And like I said, I am here and available if you'd like to work with me. This is the business that I do, I live by. I'm a small business, but I also love giving back to the community and helping people because I just do. All the best. See you next time.